I will welcome everyone this evening to the February 18th, 2025 meeting of the West Richland City Council. Call it to order at 6 p.m. Before we get started, I'd like to ask Stephanie to read the virtual hybrid ground rules for this meeting and then call the roll, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight's meeting will be held in person with a virtual meeting component. If you are participating virtually, please make sure the name shown at the bottom of your video view is the name you would like the mayor to use. You can change this by right-clicking on the three dots in the upper corner of your video view and clicking Rename. Audience members present in the council chambers will be called upon first during public comment periods. Those participating remotely should virtually raise your hand if you wish to speak. To virtually raise your hand, click on Participants and then click on Raise Hands. If you are participating by phone only, press *9 to raise your hand. Please limit comments to 3 minutes. Roll call. Brent Gary,
Here.
Richard Bloom,
Here.
Fred Brink,
Here, attending virtually.
David Fetto,
Here.
May Hayes,
Here.
Fran,
Present.
John Smart,
Here.
and Stoker.
Here.
All right, thank you. Yeah, we have Mayor Pro Tem Brink is over in Olympia working with our legislators and AWC. So thank you for the extra effort over there with the team, Fred. Thank you very much. So with that, I'll ask Councilmember Hayes to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this evening.
States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilmember Hayes. I appreciate it. Council, the agenda is before you. Are there any changes to the agenda this evening? Seeing none, may I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. And this evening's presentation, we have a presentation from Chief Grego. So I'll turn it over to the chief. I hear our participant is back there, willing to get at the podium anytime and make statements. So
Thank you,
we'll
Mayor.
throw it to the chief.
Thank you. We'll start off with, before I forget, Officer Riojas, happy birthday. Just want to put that out there. Okay. All right. So tonight we have a special presentation, probably the first of its kind. I don't know if you guys know Lucius, but I'll tell you a little bit about Lucius. Lucius is a healer corgi mix. First entered West Richland Police Department kennels as a stray back in June of 2014. He was adopted by Marissa, our animal control. About a year later, had several dispatch calls in the course of a week, 2 dogs running rampant in West Richland, causing traffic hazards. These were 2 uncatchable by human. 2 dogs are uncatchable by humans. Marissa decided to take Lucius out to the call and try him out. He caught them within minutes of deploying. So since that day, Lucius has safely wrangled approximately, and he's obviously talking tonight, wrangled approximately 40 stray dogs within our city of West Richland from various situations and has had several interviews with local agencies, news agencies. For example, one German Shepherd dog decided to cause a major traffic hazard at a busy intersection. The dog played a big game of chase with patrol officers prior to Lucius's arrival. Within 5 minutes, he had the canine contained, and in another situation, a newly adopted dog escaped and fled across the entire city in a state of panic, generating multiple calls. It was Lucius who caught her within minutes of deployment, and she was safely returned to her owners. Most recently, an emaciated, thank you, I knew I was going to screw that up, dog was dumped from the vehicle in a neighborhood during freezing temperatures and fled from people for 5 days. It was Lucius who brought him to safety within minutes, satisfying the residents who were concerned about the dog. Ultimately, he catches the ranges from Chihuahua-sized dogs to dogs of 70-pound pit bulls. So it doesn't matter what size the dog is, he's in. He has even caught his own breed, intelligent. Okay, I'm just making sure. Healer, I don't want to be wrong. The healer's farming owner was impressed that that Marissa had even managed to impound that dog because it was like impossible for humans. In serving West Richland for about a decade, Lucius has remained a great asset for Marissa as animal control with catching dogs. He has been by her side countless community events and remains a positive bridge between our residents and the position of animal control. When she has him with her during her call, he brings smiles to faces of young and old and has impressed many people with his skills, which very much includes Marissa herself. So tonight, I decided to have a plaque done for Lucius, and I'd like you to accept this for him. Thank you for your 40 successful apprehensions as a working dog for the West Richland Police Department, and Marissa, great job with him. Thank you so much. Marissa does, or he does, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Marissa, looks like he's getting a little chunky there in his older age.
She needs to get him out more.
So prior to Polar coming on duty, Lucius actually kind of opened the door for that. The way he was with patrol, they would throw balls for him constantly. And the community events, I would say like the past, before we got Polar 5 years prior, I took him with me everywhere. And it was very positive bridge for the community. You know, they don't just see the dog catcher, they see him too. So it kind of lightens the mood a little bit. So he's a good dog.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Chief. Yeah, Marissa's a very passionate individual about what she does, appreciated from all of our citizens. She was always asking about how our pups are, and we certainly appreciate everything that she does for us. So thank you. All right, with that, we will go ahead and move on to the consent agenda this evening, which consists of payment of the bills, approve the minutes of the regular meeting February 4th, 2025, Resolution 1325 adopting the 2025-2030 capital improvement plan. The officers, you be safe out there tonight, okay? Thank you. And happy birthday. And then Resolution 1425 authorizing the mayor to execute an interlocal cooperative agreement regarding a Mayo Drive with SR 224 intersection maintenance agreement with Benton County. Resolution 1525 amending West Richland's master fee schedule street cut permits. Resolution 1625 authorizing the mayor to sign a security and improvement agreement for the Grove Phase 1. Resolution 1725 authorizing the mayor to sign the updated Fourth Amendment and restated interlocal agreement with Benton County Emergency Services. Motion to approve the final plat of Grove Phase 1, file number plat 006-2025. And motion authorizing the mayor to execute an engineering services contract with RH2 regarding Belmont Reservoir Project. Is there anyone from the audience who'd like to speak to the consent agenda this evening? Seeing no one in house, if we have anybody virtually, raise your virtual hand or *9 by phone to be recognized to address council. I see no one. Stephanie, do you have anyone virtually this evening?
I do not see anyone, no.
Thank you. Council, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Those like sign. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you, council. We're going to move on to our first opportunity for citizens' public comment for items that are not on the agenda this evening. If you'd like to provide comments, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to provide your comments. Seeing no one in house, anyone virtually like to make comments to council this evening? Raise your virtual hand or *9 to be recognized. I see no one. Stephanie, do you?
Not see anyone, no.
We'll go ahead and move on to ordinances, resolutions, motions, and public hearings. Items 8A and B are a public hearing and an ordinance regarding a text amendment for downtown mixed-use setbacks. I'll have Community Development Director Eric Mendenhall presenting staff report this evening. Eric?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Before you this evening, this is a cleanup text amendment. There were 3 locations that had setbacks for the downtown mixed use for apartments. And so this goes through and establishes all of those where we have all of the rest of the setbacks, which is in the development standards of the zoning code. So the intent there was to just consolidate all of those into one location and use the most appropriate setbacks for that area, which had been previously reviewed and approved by council at other times. So figure this is just a pretty quick, simple cleanup text amendment. Planning Commission reviewed it. They also make a recommendation that council approves it. The CD subcommittee reviewed it and also recommend do pass before you this evening.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I will go ahead and open the public hearing at 6:11. If you'd like to make comment in regards to this agenda item, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. I see no one in house. Stephanie, do you see anybody virtually? *9 or raise your virtual hand to be recognized for this public hearing virtually. I see no virtual participants in regards to this item. Stephanie, do you?
I do not.
No one. Will close the hearing at 6:11. And council, may I have a motion?
I move to adopt ordinance 0225, amending the West Richland Municipal Code and design guidelines to consolidate setbacks for the DMU zone into the site development standards table in the code.
Second.
Motion and a second. Council, are there any questions you might need to answer from Eric before we take vote? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you, council. Moving on to items 8C and D are a public hearing and an ordinance regarding a text amendment for data centers in the UTLI zone districts. And again, Eric will present staff report this evening.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Before you is a zoning code text amendment that amends our land use matrix to allow for data centers, as it states in the light industrial and urban transition zone. This amendment was applied for by Frank Teagues LLC in requesting this. So the idea is that they have something in the works that might come our way if this is approved potentially. So data centers do bring a lot of revenue opportunity for the city and would be a very good thing that way for the city for sure. They have a pretty minimal impact on services, given that there's only about 2 employees per acre. So there's not a whole lot of employees, but there's a whole lot of revenue that comes in other ways. So definitely a good thing for the city and could be a potential great benefit for the residents. So the CD subcommittee has reviewed this and recommend do pass. Planning Commission also recommends council approve this. What's before you this evening?
And Eric, one thing just for the public, would you share with us in regards to what properties the Teagues own?
Oh, a lot. It's kind of hard to say. They own quite a substantial amount. It's most of the property north of Rupert Road that's not associated with Candy Mountain and things east of Sand Hill. So I think properties east of Sand Hill and the DNR property out there. They own most everything else north of Rupert Road. They also own some other properties that are zoned light industrial that are west of Keene Road, although I don't believe that's in their plan at the moment.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So I will go ahead and open the public hearing at 6:14. If you'd like to provide comment to this agenda item, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. I see no one in house. Virtual attendees, *9 or virtual hand raised, please, and we will recognize you. I see no one virtually. Stephanie, do you?
Not.
Go ahead and close the public hearing at 6:15. And council ordinance 0325 data centers in the UTNL. I may have a motion.
I move to adopt ordinance 0325, amending the West Richland Municipal Code to allow data centers as a permitted use in urban transition and light industrial zone districts.
Second.
Motion is second. Council, any questions you might have of Eric in regards to this agenda item? Councilmember Bloom.
It was a discussion we had at the transit board meeting, a sidebar. The subject was windmills. And the same thing applies to data centers. A lot of that large tax revenue that we would get from data centers are actually equipment based, which will depreciate. And so as we move forward with, smiles, we get all this money, our tax base will shrink as the computers age. Now, obviously, they may replace them, it'll grow again. But as anyone that owns a business knows, you actually get two statements as far as property tax, business property tax, and the fixed site property tax. So it's something we would have to manage as it goes forward, because with the 1% rise, it could be really difficult to think about. So it's something to keep considered.
Councilmember Moran.
Thank you very much. Just a quick question. And more just so that the folks at home listening in and the folks that are in the audience here will know, could you describe exactly what a data center is or what it means when we say data center here?
Simple terms, it's a warehouse full of computers. And those data centers is the cloud where you save all your data to. They also are your AI processors. So when you speak to your phone and something pops back to you, that those data centers are processing all of that information. So they're very much integral part of our lives now and are becoming very, very popular, as you have probably seen around the area. So yeah, that's what they are.
Thank you very much.
No one else? All in favor, say aye.
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 And opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you, council. Moving on to item 8E is an ordinance that Public Works Director Roscoe Slade's been working on for some time regarding fishing and other activities at the Park of the Lakes. And we'll go ahead and turn it over to Roscoe for his staff report this evening. Roscoe?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, this has been going on for a few months. This deals with West Richland Municipal Code, Section 1212-030. This deals with, back in July, if you remember, we had council full with various parents and youth that were upset that back in 2021, council had passed an ordinance that banned swimming, boating, and fishing at Park at the Lakes. And so after that petition was submitted, the mayor directed staff to go back and review, research their concerns and see if we can work with our city attorney and our risk pool representative from WCI and see if there's a potential to basically allow youth fishing and non-motorized boating back at Park at the Lakes. And so following that in July, there were numerous meetings on-site at Park at the Lakes. There was discussions with WCI's senior risk management representative, city attorney, police chief, council park subcommittee, and other city staff over the last several months. And then a draft ordinance was taken to the city's park board on January 27th, 2025. There was 4 residents that attended the park board meeting.
Pick up milk on the way home.
Yeah, text it to me. So there was 4 comments that were received, and the common theme with the public comments was that fishing should be open to all ages and not just minors 14 years of age and younger. Eliminate the requirement for adult supervision of minors fishing and or non-motorized boating, and question the fishing hours differing from the park's open hours, And the last, they requested the city remove vegetation around the two lakes to provide access to open water to provide additional fishing spots. And then several of them even volunteered. So I'm going to take them up on that. I got their names on that. So after that meeting, I went back and had some further discussion with WCA and the city attorney and the police chief, because as it was written, and a minor is considered anybody that's basically under 18, so 17 years and younger. But the way it was drafted and presented to the park board, if you were 15, 16, or 17-year-old, you're a minor, but you couldn't fish. And that didn't seem right. So made some comments and or some calls, and basically everybody was in agreement that we can amend that, and that's what you have before you. So any minor 17 years and younger would be allowed to fish. The other part of it, the adult supervision for 14-year-olds and younger was an absolute no. That's a liability that basically strongly recommended against changing that. And so in this ordinance, it still requires adult supervision for minors 14 years and younger if they're fishing or doing non-motorized boating at the lakes. The other one, opening up to all ages. We did look at that, but I jotted down a few of the reasons that I heard why it's not a good idea. I mean, this is a park that's in a low-density residential neighborhood. There's limited parking. There's no bathroom facilities. We don't stock it, so it was never meant to be a sports fishing venue. So there was a number of other reasons, but that's why it wasn't opened. And the direction given to us by the mayor was open it up for youth. And so, so what you have here, and there's some other sections, I want to make sure I touch on everything, but basically as it's drafted now, minors 17 years old and younger would be allowed to fish. If you're an adult supervising, you could also fish if you're supervising a minor, but it only requires it to be 14 years and younger to have it. So if you're 16, you could fish. You don't need an adult supervisor, or 15 or 17. But it's written so that if you are 17 and an adult supervising you, they could also fish. The other part of this was, again, we're required fishing licenses. So a lot of that 14 and younger is because 14 years and younger doesn't require a fishing license. So there is now reference in the code with the Washington State Fish and Wildlife requirements for licenses. So if you're 15, you need a youth license. If you're 16 or 17, you need a regular adult license to fish. And with that opened the door for now enforcement. So there's some language that the city attorney helped me put in there. So if you're fishing without a license, we had to add that language with that. And it also means not just Fish and Wildlife can ask for your fishing license, West Richland Police. Any officer can ask for that. And the penalty is quite stiff. So I make sure you have it on you. It's not having a fishing license. It's pretty steep, a fine. So fishing. So that takes care of the fishing and boating. So again, I'll just go through all of the changes that were to this ordinance. So the other thing was adding some more language about vegetation in our parks, that you're not allowed to trim, remove, or do anything without written permission from the city. Tried to make that clear. There was a typo about no golfing that was stuffed in a different sentence, so we separated that out. So still no golfing. Council asked about cannabis, so there's now language that bans cannabis in there. When we met with WCIA, one thing they noticed is that we didn't have anything banning winter activities. So we now have that. So there's no ice skating or any winter ice fishing on those lakes. It's not, again, it's dealing with a liability. Boating, again, non-motorized boating is allowed. It is conditionally allowed, meaning if you're a minor 14 years and older, you have to have adult supervision at all times, and you got to have a personal flotation device jacket on, both for the minor and the adult. And I'm not going to go back through that. There was one more. Oh, the other big thing is working with Chief Grego. The way it was written before is some of these penalties were a fine of $250 for a civil infraction. And so the chief asked for I mean, the officer can do it anyway, but let's put it in writing that gives them opportunity to educate, to issue warnings. And the other one is to trespass them for city parks. So if you're not going to follow the rules, they can just, and it's not just Park at the Lakes. You get 86 from Park at, you're from all of them. And then Jessica also helped, the city attorney also put some language in there. If you do get kicked out of the city parks, there's an appeal process that they can go through and that. So that language was put in, city attorney helped draft that. So there is that. So I think we've addressed everything in the comments. Again, it's not perfect, but it now allows youth, if adopted tonight, would allow youth fishing and minors to do non-motorized boating with adult supervision.
Thank you, Roscoe. With that, is there anyone from the audience who'd like to speak to this agenda item this evening? Seeing no one in house, we'll reach out to the virtual attendees, and I see we have one hand raised. We will, Terry Davies will unmute you, and you'll have 3 minutes to address this agenda item. Terry, try to unmute yourself. Maybe you've clicked on something. Having any luck, Stephanie?
I've requested to allow her to unmute, but I'm not sure. She'll have to click the button on her end.
Terry, you want to make sure that you are unmuted on your side of the fence, please?
All right, I think I got it.
There we go. Okay, you've got 3 minutes. Terry, thank you for joining us this evening. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So Terry Davies, 3706 South Lake Drive in West Richland. And yeah, it's different when you're doing this remotely than when you're there. But I just want to thank Mr. Slade for all the work that he's done with this, and for all the other staff and community members, and now the council for this. We appreciate it. And we're looking forward as spring comes to be able to see kids enjoying fishing again. So thank you.
Anyone else virtually this evening? Seeing no one, we will go ahead and move on. Council, may I have a motion, please?
I move to City Council adopt ordinance 0425 relating to park property regulation of use, amending section 12.12.030 of the West Richland Municipal Code.
Second.
Second, Council, are there any questions you might have in regards to this agenda item that we're going to address this evening? Councilmember Bloom?
One thing I just came to my mind as I'm reading through it a third time. We don't say what fishing is. And I'm just wondering if we could add a little where it says no fishing, just say as defined by Washington State Department of Fish and Wildlife. Because their definition includes not just a pole with a string, but any act that tries to kill, retrieve, whatever else, a fish. I'm just to be complete, I'm not fishing. I'm just got a big scoop net out there. That would be fishing. Does that make sense? Or do you think that's necessary? No? Okay. I just was throwing it out there.
Unless it was somebody from the cybersecurity that was fishing for some free fish.
That's with a P.
Okay. There we go. We got clarification there. Councilmember Moran.
Thank you very much. One thing I noticed on, I guess it probably is my third or fourth time reading through this at least, is that we are allowing adults to do non-motorized boating on the lake without having minors. Is that accurate? Okay, just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Recognize our legal counsel, Ms. Foltz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was just in response to Councilmember Bloom's suggestion. I don't actually necessarily think that's a bad suggestion. I will say generally in the law, if there's not a definition in that section, it would resort to the dictionary definition. Although I haven't looked at what that is, and maybe it wouldn't include
What?
a net or something.
Well, I was looking at what Fish and Wildlife says. Act or attempt to catch, kill, injure, or harvest fish or shellfish. It also includes any activities could lead to catching a fish. And what comes to my mind is there are a lot of crawfish now in the Yakima River, and and I'm going to take my license out there and get a bunch of crawfish.
Thank you, Jessica, for the clarification. Appreciate it. Councilmember Moran.
I was just wondering, so then would it seem reasonable to just add pole in front of the word fish for 16A so that it said minors, person 17 years old and younger, and adults accompanied / supervising a minor shall be allowed to pull fish from the bank? That way you wouldn't have to change anything except just add that one single word. Or do we still not think is it just based off of a reasonable person's understanding of fishing?
I think if you look at the conditions down below, it tells you you're limited to a single fishing pole per person. So I think it's fine. If there's an issue, I'll bring it back. But I don't want to wordsmith it. We've worked on the 7-month. I think it's ready to go. And if there's problems, I'll bring it back. But everybody seems to be pretty comfortable where we're at with it.
Thank you for that clarification,
Yeah.
Roscoe.
Thank you. I was in the Navy too long as a sea lawyer to see somebody trying to get around it with using dynamite or something ridiculous.
That's military fishing, yes. All right. Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you, council. Appreciate it. We do not have any unfinished business this evening or any new business, so that brings us to our second opportunity for citizen public comment. If you'd like to provide comment to the city council, please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to address council this evening.
Mark Shealy at 65104 North 46th Avenue. I don't mean to waste the council's time, and I appreciate your patience before. I'm not a public speaker. I'm at my wit's end. I should ask, Councilman Smart, did you get that email today?
Yeah, I did get it today, and I made it
Okay.
through about half of that document. I'm not
Yeah.
supposed to speak though.
No,
Sorry,
and
Mr. Mayor. I
No,
was just
that's fine.
natural.
We don't have.
Got it. Thank you.
Dialogue
Sorry to
between-
answer.
I didn't mean to put you in a bad spot. What I'm going to do, I don't know how to go forward, except to be blunt. If you find problems with the information I gave you, let me know. Somebody contact me. I'll wait till the 3rd of March. If I don't get contacted then, with the city giving me a timeline and actual written mitigation on this situation, I'm going to move forward with legal litigation. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else this evening? Seeing no one in house, we'll go virtually, *9, or raise your virtual hand to be recognized. Seeing no one virtually, we will go ahead and move on to staff and council announcements, reports, and comments. Anyone, staff members this evening?
I just wanted to announce real quick. Sorry, I didn't put my name tag up. I'm being like John tonight and just jumping in there. So today we had a wonderful ribbon cutting at the new Frank and Sons Automotive there off of Keene Road, and it was great experience. I've been working with them since I started here. They initially had a purchase and sell agreement from us, city, just across the street, kitty corner next to the Shelby building, and that fell through. So they put some things together and abided the COVID timeline that they needed to get through the COVID and the finances, and were able to then work with Tim Bush on getting some property over by the old Bush Car Wash, Mr. Car Wash now. Thank you. And so it was great experience. Awesome looking building. I mean, it's top of the line. They've got super cool building in there for working on cars and getting them back to us after we have our oopsie daisies. So it was a great experience. I thank the chamber for being there and in being involved with our community. Since Keith has come on, I will say the chamber has taken a great change in bringing a lot of great business and attention to business, particularly through social media and whatnot that he's got there, and bringing a lot of attention to our new businesses that are coming into town. So, and since we've been having quite a few lately, it's been a lot of fun showing up and doing some ribbon cuttings and seeing all these cool new stores show up.
We'll move on to council. Councilmember Smart.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, council, yeah, sorry for speaking out of turn there for just a brief moment. It was sort of a natural reflex, but I won't try to endeavor not to do that
Not a
again.
problem. I won't.
And I don't blame Mr. Shealy either, so sir, no harm done there,
Will not
really.
call you to the principal's office.
Okay, appreciate that. But I did want to mention that I did get a note from Mr. Shealy or Kate Shealy, and it just basically included, for everybody's knowledge, the FEMA. Let me see if I can call it up here. What was it? It was the FEMA floodway analysis and mapping document, and there was no note associated with it that I could see. So I just presume that I'm being asked to take note of that, and I will forward it on to, I guess, some of our staff and Mr.
Forward it to
Aaron.
Stephanie. We'll
Stephanie,
take care of it
okay.
as necessary through the staff.
Great,
process.
but I will say I found it interesting. My parents used to own property down in the flood area, and so I just find it interesting. Like I said, I got about halfway through it. I actually found that there's a lot of language that is more lenient than I recall it being when it comes to messing around or changing the topography of a flood area. But that's all I can say about it right now. I just am working my way through it. So I hope that we can, address that, and I'll just keep that note. I'll just present that as that, and we'll see what happens. So thank you.
Councilmember Bloom.
My comment on the fish was not it just comes from the fact that when this I would say late summer, when the crews went out to go after the stargrass, they came back complaining about being attacked by crawfish. Now I went and looked at the Fish and Wildlife regs, and I brought it up to Fish and Wildlife when they came up to the Yakima Basin Fish Wildlife Recovery Board meeting. And I said, the regs say if you have a non-native crawfish, which is actually the crawfish I grew up with, the non-natives that come from the South, you have to kill them before you leave. I said, the only way I know how to kill a crawfish is boil it. Anyway, so just from the standpoint, I'm not quite sure anybody's going to be out there with crawfish nets and going after it. But so possibly the stargrass has the upside of having a new industry here of crawfishing.
It comes to crawfish next time from New Orleans.
Well, actually, you do realize next city council meeting will be Mardi Gras, and there will be a cake.
Councilmember Moran.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to mention I will be at the AWC event that's happening in Lacey and Olympia. And I will be there along with our Mayor Pro Tem Brink. I don't know if we have anybody else joining us, but I'm looking forward to that. And then also on Friday, I think we're going to have to rock, paper, scissors to see who's going to attend virtually the Benton Franklin Council of Governments meeting, which is a hybrid meeting this Friday, the 21st at 10 a.m. That's all I got. Thanks.
Councilmember Hayes.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to, I passed out to the council people and staff the update that we received last week from Olympia on the Tri-City Veteran Cemetery and the progress that we've made with that project. It's moving forward quite quickly compared to some of the dates and stuff they've told us before. We still have our 2 locations. One's in West Richland and one is in Richland. And both locations, part of that is water rights on both locations. But I think things are continuing to move forward, and we'll be working with Olympia on getting a NEDA flyer to go with this update. And we'll try to get this update out to everybody, put it in the newsletters. And the other thing is that a lot of people have been requesting, they would like to start donating now for this project. And so Olympia is going to put together a flyer to where they can start donating now. They'll send their money, however way they go with it, up to the Medical Lake Cemetery. And they already have an account up there with Tri-City Veteran Cemetery. So it's really exciting. We're going on 3 years now working on this, and it's pretty exciting that we are getting this in this area. So I'm grateful to everybody. The vets are so excited, and this is going to be good for this whole region. Thank you.
Thank you. And May, it's been 3 years in the making, and we appreciate everything that you've done, and it obviously very passionate about our veterans and the other end of life. So thank you so much. Appreciate that. Okay, seeing Mayor Pro Tem's hand is up this evening. We'll finish off with Mayor Pro Tem Brink. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening, everyone. As Councilmember Moran mentioned, I am over in Olympia this evening as part of AWC's City Action Days event. It's a fun-filled, action-packed adventure for the next couple days. I do have meetings tomorrow morning with Representative Connors from our 8th District, as well as Senator Banky from the 8th District as well. Meeting in the afternoon with Representative Barnard. And I did meet a couple weeks ago, earlier this month, with Representatives Clicker and Rude from our 16th District. And as part of the events here, there will be a Board of Directors meeting on Thursday afternoon. But I'm pleased to mention to our taxpayers that the Association of Washington Cities, given my position as a board vice president, pays for the entire trip. So no cost to the city for me to be here and help lobby on the city's behalf. One additional thing I will mention, I did attend the Washington State Emergency Management Council meeting held last Thursday. We had some comments made by Major General Welsh. The Major General is the Adjutant General of the state in charge of the National Guard, and as well as the state's military department. He did express concerns at the national level for the ability to maintain sufficient funding for emergency management, particularly FEMA, emergency awareness, Homeland Security grants, and so forth, and the potential impact that these federal budget cuts and staffing cuts could have on the state's ability to address natural and man-made disasters in the future, particularly since our state is prone to wildfires and earthquakes. So he was concerned, and that's also coupled with Governor Ferguson's desire to have every state budget, with just a few exceptions, each department cut by 6%. So there's a lot of uncertainty, both at the state level as well as the federal level, with regard to emergency preparedness. And Mr. Mayor, that's enough for now. That's all I have. Look forward to my return next week.
Well, thank you very much for everything you're doing over there, Mayor Pro Tem Brink, and safe travels. Yeah, long session. Roscoe, how many bills did you say that Jennifer told us we had in front of the legislators over there?
1,800.
100 bills in a long session. It might be a long session plus. So yeah, a lot of work to do. And I think Roscoe and I are probably going to be making a trip over there here soon to take care of some of our primary agenda items for the city as well. Okay, with that, then we are going to go ahead and we're going to adjourn into an executive session. We'll look for our RCW 4230-110I to discuss the legal counsel representing the agency matters relating to potential litigation to which the agency or is likely to become party of. The executive session will last approximately 10 minutes. And so we have got 10 minutes from this time frame at, we will adjourn that meeting or extend it at 6:25. So let's go into, no action to follow this evening. No, thank you.
Sure about that.
Well, yeah. 10 minutes past whatever time it is right now.
55.
Right. That's exactly what it says right here. Current time plus 10. All right, let's all roll into the council or the conference room.
Can't walk on either one of them to vote.
Right here, so I'll text when I'm in town there.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
All right, everybody is here. So with that, we will go ahead and adjourn this council meeting at 6:57. Thank you, council members. Appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah. I'm hoping that I can.